What's up?
Okay.
Okay, so this week's lectures and readings focus on leader and leadership, development and leadership in a crisis. Please discuss ways that you believe organizations can prepare leaders at all levels to respond in a crisis. The readings and lectures focus on the 10 different types of crisis. You don't need to address all of them, but connect it to your current workplace or the career you'd like to be in. When I was like reading through this, the thing that I identified with was like in high school how we had those like fire drills, and I'm from California, so we had like the statewide one on the specific day at the specific time, and I remember like it was a mess, like chaos ensued because we all didn't know what we were doing, and like our teachers didn't really know what was going on, though it was like just a drill and it wasn't like an actual fire. So the pre-crisis to that was the fact that, they had like that drill planned. And the crisis would be if it was an actual fire. And then the post-crisis would be like if the fire
Did she freeze?
I think so.
was like 2,500 kids and we actually really did have a fire, like it would be a mess. So I was just reflecting on that experience in a crisis. Even though it was a drill, like it could have been a lot worse if it was an actual fire.
I worked at a pizza place, like I've said, I think like 20 times now. But we had an oven. We had an old oven. We had two ovens. One was a really old oven, and one was probably about a year old. The really old oven had some issues, like shutting down during the summer, just because it overheated. It'd be 110 degrees outside, and inside, we're right next to a 500-degree oven. The oven would overheat and turn it off. And then we just turn it off and then kick it back on. And one time there were sparks and a little bit of fire inside the oven. So there was no plan for that, by the way. So as far as crisis management was there, it was everyone turn off the ovens, turn off the gas, everyone get outside really fast. That was pretty much the plan. So I had my fair share of poor crisis management by the managers there. And there really was no plan if something like that would happen, if there was a gas leak. So it was scary to say the least, but I lived through it, and now I know that if I should ever run a pizza shop, I'm going to have a plan in case the oven catches on fire.
Oh my gosh. When I was doing the reading, I got to the types of crises that can happen. I was thinking along the lines of like, okay, where I work right now. So I work at Nordstrom. We're known for customer service. There are always employees that work there that like don't get what customer service is. And so my crisis would be public perception or product crisis. So obviously, like that's not as big as like a fire or anything like that, but it really does tarnish the reputation of a company if that's not upheld. So I think first of all, a company needs to promote things to develop leadership skills. So the readings talked about how leadership, it's a journey to develop leadership skills, and you first have to learn how to lead yourself. And organizations should promote that because, like, when you promote ways to develop leadership skills, so if you do like a seminar or different kinds of like opportunities to just learn about what kind of skills leadership requires, you can really grow a lot just as a person. A quote from the book that I wrote down is, "The leaders we admire the most often are the ones who have endured the greatest hardships." So it's all about rising above whatever you're going through in your life and becoming more than just a regular Joe, I guess. And then my second point that I wrote down was for the types of crises that I was thinking about, we have to teach leaders about public relations. And so my example is just I'm like a leader on the sales floor because I am one of the top sellers in my department, and so just I'm not a manager any way, shape, or form, but I am very good at handling small customer crises, like when a customer is complaining about someone or something. I am really good at helping them resolve the issue and walk away happy with a positive image of the company.
Yeah, when I was reading like through the book, it talked a lot about just like planning for a crisis, but then I don't really know like how well prepared, like even if your company goes through all the routines and everything, like really how well prepared you can be for like a major crisis. I don't know if you guys saw anything this afternoon, but there was a shooting at a college in Oregon, and like 13 people are dead, and I saw like some news clips of it, and it's just like pure chaos. So even like if your company like does like fully prepare and like they have a plan and everything, there's always like those major crises like that you can't prepare for. So I think that's something to think about. And then as far as like personal experience with a crisis, like out of the 10 listed in the book, none of them can really relate to our basketball team that much, but probably the one that could is the public perception, just because it can be any negative rumors that people start about your organization. So I guess that's the one that could directly relate to me in my personal life right now.
Nice. That's perfect. And I'm actually kind of glad that you bring that up because of the whole thing about the shootings and stuff. Because as a manager for a theater, you know, we have all these procedures, all these different things to handle crises like that. You know, but when the thing actually happens, you know, and if someone starts shooting up the place, I feel like that kind of goes out the window because we get into this panic mode where, okay, like, what do I do? What happens? You know, I feel like sometimes that just, no matter how prepared you are, there isn't ever really like, unless you're like really calm and skilled, sometimes, you know, that could all just go out the window. And yeah, like I feel like we have all these different procedures that that we are trained for, and we kind of like do all these scenarios and how we would react and stuff like that. But like at the end of the day, you know, it becomes really difficult depending on the crisis situation on how to react and stuff like that. So it all depends, I feel.
Yeah, I feel like you need a leader that's like good at making decisions under pressure because you never know when things are going to happen and you never know how like severe they're going to be. We see on the news all of these events, but like you think you have a plan, but when you get there, do you really have a plan? I mean, I know I'd be like all over the place if that ever happened in a situation that I was in.
And that really is the purpose for the drills that, you know, they come up with for fire drills, so that people don't panic during a fire, for, you know, lockdown so that people don't panic during lockdown. And the real purpose of them isn't just to tell you what to do. It's to keep you calm. You know, if most people have done fire drills and it's pretty okay, just everyone kind of file out, when an actual fire happens, you know, people aren't going to panic. They're going to be like, okay, well, I'll just walk out here, you know, and it's to kind of get you used to that feeling, so people don't panic. But nevertheless, people do often panic because that can be quite frightening.
Yeah,
which is understandable.
I don't remember if it was for this class or for another one, but I did a discussion board about how a leader gives an impromptu speech right after a crisis. Was that for this class? I don't remember. But anyway, so I talked about George W. Bush's impromptu speech right after 9/11 happened, and just the timing of it and what was said during that in order to like basically instill confidence in the citizens of the United States that like our country was still safe and we were going to take action. You know, it wasn't just like, okay, free for all chaos, but you know, just to maintain the order and everything like that.
You guys all made it right, so. Which of the crisis stages, I know it's kind of hard to probably say which one's most important, but which one do you think a leader has to be most effective in order to keep people calm throughout a crisis? The pre-crisis, the crisis, or the post-crisis?
It's kind of hard to answer.
I think post-crisis, because it really, like, yes, crisis is really important to prepare for, but post-crisis, and I guess during a crisis, but basically anything immediately after the crisis happens, like, that's going to shape how it's dealt with.
Yeah, I feel like it's more scrutinized. Like, 9/11 happened, yes, but like what we talk about now or what's constantly being brought up is how it was handled after. I feel like. So that's a good example.
Yeah, the BP spill was my greatest example for that, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, the pre-crisis, I'm sure they didn't do much to manage with the pre-crisis, and during the crisis, not much either, but the post-crisis was really what hurt them. It's just in the manner, you know, and they carried themselves, and they pretty much ignored what we were doing, so, or what they were doing, you know, trying to push it off to the side. So, yeah, for me, the post-crisis definitely is the most important.
Alrighty, does anybody have anything else to add?
Nope.